So when they say save your work, this is what they mean. I went to community college, what year was this? I think this was 23. And I had not a zine class, but a art comp class. And this was our final. I made a bunch of zines. These were all the zines from my class. There were some really good ones here. There was like movie trivia, coloring book, the Microtrend, Percy Jackson versus Harry Potter. There's Angry Pepper. I have no idea what this was about. But anyway, just so many good ones. Big highlight is probably like Mean Zine Fighting Machine by Cream Cats. I eventually met this person. They're really chill. But I think the thing I want to talk about is I found my final for it, which was Sacred Time, a simplified retelling of Ohlone creation stories. This is based off the indigenous Costanoan Ohlone people, though they do not prefer Costanoan, mainly Ohlone, though depending on who you ask. And I wanted to make a zine on the, for lack of a better term, mythology or religious practices, or just really the beliefs of this area prior to colonialization, the creation story. So that is Sacred Time, the time before, basically. It starts after Earth was flooded in the war between good and evil. One island stood taller than the rest. It had many names to the original tribelets, but the Spaniards after called it Mount Diablo, and I eventually went to Mount Diablo, and it is a very sacred site in this belief, but it's also mainly because you can see the entire world there, so that's why all life started there. And I am an adamant believer in that. Atop it stood Olete Coyote, the first living thing, where life all started. He was the first. When Ohlone came down, when Olete came down, he found a feather on the shore, which became eagle. Soon they were joined by hummingbird. And this stylization is not how Ohlone pottery looks, which is the main Ohlone art. This was just an artistic choice on my part. It's not representative of that. Maluk Condor and his son Wekwek Falcon descended from Mount Diablo. The land dried and the land grew. After the flood, more creatures began to appear, lizard, bear, and other animal spirits. They would create a new race of people, the Ohlone. All people descended from animal spirits. Owlet was very bad at creating people. He did not know how to procreate. All his wives would run from him or be disinterested in his gifts. He was a noble, tragic, and greedy magician. I remember in the text I was reading, there's a good story with Coyote. He grabs a woman trying to procreate, and he's like, "Eat my louse, eat it." And, she runs away. I think she eats it, and then she becomes a sand flea, and it's basically a failed experiment at that point. Anyway, Owlet, Wetwek, and animal spirits, and other animal spirits planted feathers in the ground, creating the first Ohlone people. Where shall we go? Go out over the world, they said. And so they did, creating different animal clans. Because, all Ohlone people came from these different animal spirits, and so all the clans are named after them. When Sacred Time ended, the animal spirits did not leave the world. They still remained present, still emotional, and still cunning. Though through dance or dreaming, every Ohlone must find an ally in the animal spirit world. So basically, it's usually a hunting ally that one finds in their dreams, like bear, I think mountain lion as well, or coyote, and it usually signifies a deeper subconscious truth, or so I remember reading. And then I have a little author's note here. With respect to indigenous members of the Ohlone tribelets who may see their stories within this scene, thank you for remaining still present, still emotional, and still cunning. And then, Demayar, that's my name. It's my social media, Blunderia Blues. Follow me only if you want. Most of my information for this scene came from The Ohlone Way by Malcolm Margolin, I believe his name is. And it is obviously a simplified retelling. There are many different versions of this story. This is a very heavily condensed one in like, I think, 6 pages. But it's a very important story to them. And as I occupy their land, it is a very important story to me.